Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the new moon in Scorpio that took place on November 13th at 4:27 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Really excited to do this particular lunar update for you guys. This is the twin flame lunar update or the divine counterpart lunar update for this lunation. And I want to thank you guys for your patience. And I have a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll dive into the impact this lunation may have had for Divine Counterpart Collective. I mentioned in my last lunar update that Star School was coming with some special pricing for private listers only. I want to go ahead and tell you guys, if you're not on the private list, definitely get on it because I'm going to offer them some last year's pricing and opportunities to enroll in ways that things previously were. And some new stuff will be available next week for the collective here on YouTube. Link to join my private list is below. It is absolutely free. And I send out, updates following each new and full moon with things that I may not have included in the lunar update for the collective that either I just didn't realize, didn't know, forgot, or most often is the case, it's like stuff that it's just not for public consumption. It's stuff that's really for a more advanced spiritual student. So if you know that that is you and you want access to that kind of insider intel, then you want to be on my private list. Link to join is below this video. Star School will drop, I believe, tomorrow. If I have that right, on Friday, 2023, November 17th. With special pricing for the private list on Friday. And then next Monday, Star School will be available for the collective here on YouTube. So if you want early access, get on the list. Now, here's the thing. This year, Star School is going to be offered at 3 levels. 101 only, which is a 4-week, like, here's my introduction to how you read your chart. It is a fantastic course if you want to get to know yourself or someone you love. The workbook is designed to be interactive. So as you work with a chart, it could be your chart, it could be someone you love's chart, your mother, daughter, father, brother, sister, son, lover. You can fill it in with that chart in mind and get a whole bunch of new information about yourself and your loved ones. That's the 101 course. It is fantastic if you want to take a deep dive into astrological charts. There will be an opportunity to join 101, 201, and 301 together as a singular bundle. 201 is where I go into twin flame synastry and understanding twin flame dynamics through astrology and the planets that I use to read the divine counterparts, Juno and Jupiter, and how their movement can help you understand the movement and periods of coming together and separation in your connection so that you can see the sequence and flow of union in your connection and work with the energy instead of against it. That's Star School 201. Star School 301 is all about the North Node and the nodes in your chart and the transiting nodes and how to understand the direction of growth in your life. If you've ever felt like you're just behind the 8 ball, you're not getting the lesson, somehow life just keeps taking a giant dump on you because for whatever reason, you're just, 2 plus 2 is mathing to 5 for you instead of 4. You definitely want to do 301. 301 will help you put the pieces of your own life together and understand why your life has worked the way it works, the things that you're meant to grow in. It'll give you a lot of keys to make your life a lot easier. 101, 201, and 301 will be available as a singular package. 101 only will be available. And then there'll be a level called private mentorship, where we'll talk about astrological business. That will include a special Star School 401 component that will be added about deciphering family dynamics, childhood, parenting, and future issues as an adult that we may have as a result of the home we grew up in childhood. All of that can be decoded in a chart. What kind of mom you had, what kind of father you've got. That's information I'm going to be reserving for folks who want to learn how to run an astrological business and private mentorship with me in Star School 401, and that will be shared with those enrolling at that level. Spots for that are application only. Look for the application coming next week. And readings for 2023, second to last announcement, they're completely sold out. I want to thank everyone who has booked, who's patiently in my calendar through the end of December for booking their readings with me. We've got a lot of ground to cover around the eclipses and what's going to be happening next year for you. So thank you for signing up early and locking in your spots. I cannot wait to read for you. January readings will become available at the start of December. Again, I will release it to the private list first. Link to join below this video, completely free. And lastly, for twin flame individual readings who did book, thank you for booking. Your first workshop with me was today. We did that this afternoon, so definitely check your email inbox and your spam if you missed the link to the recording. I literally just sent it out, but those are now officially retired. If you would like a twin flame reading with me, you do need to come with your counterpart from here going forward. I detailed why this is in a video in the community section to my private list. If you need some extra info about that, you can check that video out and some of the information I've put in the community section as well. But those individual twin flame readings, they're now retired. They may make an appearance at times. I'm shown it could be useful, but as of right now, the only relationship readings that are on offer are for two people who are coming to the session again together. Again, spaces will be available coming in December for January of 2024. Private list will, of course, be the first to know. Thank you to all my private listers. Love you guys. All right, let's get into the new moon in Scorpio. It took place here at the 20th degree of Scorpio with some really interesting aspects. It was conjunct Mars, opposite Uranus, which made for a lot of really wild energy. It also had some aspects to Pluto, aspects to Neptune, aspects here to Saturn, and we have some aspects to Nessus as well. I'm going to decode what all of that means in a minute, and some aspects to Ceres here also. When I put all of this together and I take a deep dive on this in the Lightworker Energy Update, the whole vibe of it was about endings, conclusions, completions, and the struggle to access power and motivation to move forward in our lives. I noticed a lot of my clients this week all had the same experience. K Moon, I can't access my power. K Moon, I'm so tired. K Moon, I know what to do, but I feel really frozen and I'm not sure why. K Moon, why do I feel like I am blocked off from the access point to forward momentum? All of that had to do with this new moon in Scorpio, and I take a deep dive around that in that Lightworker Lunar Update. But suffice it to say, we're in a moment in time with these different aspects and elements where not only is life moving us across the game board itself is shifting, and many of us are in some really deep personal transformation while we're in motion and then while the game board itself is shifting. It's a little bit like being inside of an MC Escher painting. I provided an example of what that looked like over in that Lightworker Energy Update. For those of you who know, you know. being inside one of those paintings is one of the most confusing, which way is up, where is gravity, where is like which way am I supposed to be going, kind of experiences you can have. And that is absolutely some of what we're getting at this new moon in Scorpio post eclipse season or post major eclipses. We're still at the peak of eclipse season for the remainder of November and into December. We've got the tail end of those eclipses still fostering a tremendous amount of change and personal growth in our lives. So, for those of you who are in my calendar, looking forward to talking about that with you because you're going to be feeling, we all will, the effects of these eclipses well into January. So, understand that it ain't over, not at all. For divine counterparts in particular, let's start with Juno, our divine feminine, because why not? We have Juno conjunct Lilith here in the sign of Virgo. She is also sextile to Vesta here in the sign of Cancer, that 60-degree angle. In addition, we have a sextile to Haumea, the creation goddess, there in Scorpio. We have a square to Mercury here in Sagittarius, a trine to Pholus down here in Capricorn, and a trine to Jupiter over here in Taurus. That's going to be significant that Jupiter, Juno, and Pholus are talking. We'll break that down momentarily. We've got an opposition to Nessus there in Pisces. And this is like wild, right? Because we normally, when we see the divine feminine at these different lunations, she may be having like two or three kind of conversations that are of import. But this time it's like six different conversations that she's having that are making a tremendous impact on the way our feminine energy is rendering and on the way the connection itself is rendering here for all of us. Now, when I look at this and I see Lilith being the dominant conversation inside of a conjunction with Juno, what this represents, Lilith's energy and her story really bring for us a sensitivity to either feeling rejected or not good enough, but also recognizing we're not willing to settle. And so there may be some ways that connection is rendering for counterparts of any type of identification, identifying in union, identifying in separation, or anywhere in between. There may be a way that connection is rendering that has you going, if I stay here, I'm settling. What more could happen? What more could be done? And there is certainly some insight about that as the creation goddess's influence is inspiring some creativity from the sign of Scorpio, inviting us to take a look at what needs to end, what could begin. Certainly with Mercury, our idea maker, speaking to her from a square. There's a lot of motivation with a square to reach for from Sagittarius, our higher ideals and higher possibilities in connection. Like, what if we could really have good things? How good can you stand it? That's some of the invitation and question in our feminine energy fields in our time, in this timeline. If you could have it all your way, or how much more good can you take? Are you allergic to goodness? There's some questioning here about that. Like, what if it wasn't somewhere off in the future? What if things could be good right now? What if you could have good things unfolding today? What if it wasn't either or? What if it was both and? These are some of the questions coming up with this new moon in Scorpio and Mercury having the conversation with Juno and Lilith, inviting us to take a look at a much wider picture of possibility and potential. The Nessus component is adding in a level of spiritual pressure, you could say, from Pisces there, from the connection to figure out what's next. There's a sense of like pregnant pause or maybe pending energy where you feel like something's about to happen, but it just hasn't quite happened yet. And nevertheless, you're kind of got your attention trained on what you need to do to be with it. And then we have this Vesta energy up here, where there's a bit of renewed emotional commitment and dedication from the emotional water sign of Cancer. Now, the component with Jupiter and Pholus, both of them also in earth signs, both of them also speaking very loudly to Juno's energy. This is bringing forward a bit of um, revelation, I guess you could say, especially because Uranus at this new moon is bringing a lot of insight, maybe some uncomfortable truths. We've got what this combo is bringing forward some revelation, specifically about where one or both of you or the connection itself may have been at the mercy of some of your unhealed selves. And this may surface now as a topic for discussion. So, where if things have been imbalanced in the connection because one person really probably needs some therapeutic support, maybe needs to do some maybe addiction recovery work, or one person really needs to figure out their finances, but isn't really doing what they're supposed to be doing, is kind of either dragging their feet or ignoring the problem, or trying to do things that have already proven to not work. Where that has been an issue at this new moon in Scorpio for the remainder of the month of November, what we're going to see is a sense of like, okay, listen, we can't go on like this. This is not going to work. This Pholus energy is going to present where there has been sacrifice, and where that sacrifice isn't necessarily working anymore, where it has gone into the realm of truly compromising the connection itself. And it's going to present for us an opportunity to make some better choices. So, if that's coming up right now, again, whether you identify in separation, identify in union, even if you and your person aren't in any kind of communication at all, you may get some sort of mirroring information from yourself about ways in which the way you've been handling certain elements of trying to ground love in the third dimension. Again, all three of these are in earth signs: Juno in Virgo, Jupiter in Taurus, Pholus in Capricorn. Where there have been difficulties grounding the love in the third dimension in your individual life, this is a moment in time where eyes are going to be open to that and go, whoa, okay, yeah, I see. I do have a problem with the way I have been trying to handle my emotions in relationship to health or food. I really need to take on a new relationship to my emotions so that I can have a new relationship with my body. And that will start to shift the energy and the connection itself. This is truly about anchoring and grounding the love in healthy ways. But what's going to be exposed at this new moon in Scorpio is where things have been toxic and where things have been unhealthy repeatedly and repeatedly engaged in unhealthy ways. This new moon in Scorpio is going to have the eyeballs wide open about it so that you have the capacity to make a difference, make a change, step into something new, do a new thing. So that's really exciting. If something has surfaced in communication or in union and it has just felt like, man, why can't we get on the same page? Or, man, you not doing your part for your life is really taking a toll and costing me a lot extra in my life, or really taking a toll on the connection itself. This is where that kind of conversation could really happen in a constructive way to make changes that really reset the baseline in the connection. So I love to see that. Plenty of creativity, lots of wonderful communication energy to go around. Where you can step into dialogue, please do. Don't hold back. This is a wonderfully supportive time for open-mindedness in the connection, but also personal impetus and drive to change. Okay. Now, with these uncomfortable truths, the one thing I want to say is that you may find that to the best of your ability, maybe sit down and plan the conversation, right? In a kind and loving way where there's space around it. Try not to spring it on somebody else with, like and another thing. You never blah 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 blah. Like, don't pick a fight, obviously, if you can avoid it. Really, approach in a really wonderful way in terms of tools around how to have challenging conversations. I love the Gottman's work. I interviewed a Gottman coach on the YouTube channel. She's in the Tools for Union list. She's got some great resources about how to have challenging conversations. So too is Allison Armstrong. I've put her in front of you guys twice so far, 2 interviews with her in that Tools for Union list. But she's got some great resources on how to approach your partner and have challenging conversations if they need to be had. Reference those tools for yourself so that you're not sending those ominous text messages. We need to talk with nothing else. Nobody wants to feel that kind of like, oh God, there's a problem. I've done something wrong and now I have to go answer for it. Nobody wants to receive that. Nobody wants to feel that. Find, if you don't even know who those people are that I just mentioned, Google can help you. Google how to have challenging conversations with your partner, how to approach challenging topics with your partner. There's plenty of resources on the internet, some of them even on my channel. Don't miss the opportunity to reset some things in the connection and come to deeper understanding about why your person may operate the way they do, and to ask to get your needs met if you've got some needs that are going unmet and have been for some time. Like I said, huge opportunity to reset the baseline in connection between counterparts who are together. And certainly for yourself, if you are a counterpart who's working towards some level of union with someone you know or someone new. Okay, let's talk about Jupiter in Taurus here, our divine masculine energy. Boop, right there. We've got, working our way back around the wheel, we've got Jupiter trine that Juno and Lilith. So that makes our feminine and masculine energy both sitting in earth signs in an element of harmony. And because they're in trine, she's about to slow down to do a retrograde. She's going to have an extended stay in Virgo. Normally, she's moving at a clip of about 40 days per sign. But when she does a retrograde, she's in a sign for an extended period. She's in Virgo for an extended period, which frankly is going to lengthen the union window. This union window that we've all been in has been 2 years long. It started January of 2022, peaked January of 2023, closes January of 2024. But this will extend it an extra 90 days that they are both sitting in signs harmonious to one another out into March of 2024, and really heighten some of the union energy in the third dimension. Both of these are in earth signs for a little while longer, making movement in the third dimension much easier to access than it has been before. So it's very exciting. I love to be able to report on it. Jupiter speaking to her and speaking to Pholus. I've interpreted what that means for you already just a moment ago. We've got that sextile to Vesta, which again is all about a deepened emotional investment. Once again, for some of you, this is in yourself. Certainly Jupiter in Taurus about money and your desires. Really solidifying your emotional commitment to your dreams here. We've also got a sextile to Nessus, which, as I mentioned, brings forward an energy of spiritual pressure to kind of figure things out, like for your personal growth, your soul growth, your evolution. And then we also have a square to Chariklo. And I think this is probably one of my favorite aspects of this lunation, Jupiter square Chariklo. Chariklo's mythology is really all about the support from the divine to help you. But from a squaring angle, like the divine just isn't reaching out for you. You actually have to reach out and ask the divine, ask God, ask your ancestors, ask the angels, whomever you work with in a spiritual sense, ask for that support. And then with Jupiter and an earth sign, we also have to take the action first, really show up for ourselves in this. Once we start moving, they'll go, oh, okay, you mean she's serious. Okay, she's not just talking this time and wishing this time. She's ready now. Got it. Okay, we can show up and support that. So I really love to see that there. Lots of expansion for divine support, helping you solidify your next steps and concretize your reality, desired state reality here in the third dimension. We have an opposition to Haumea. Also, she was speaking to Juno, and this brings an added element of creativity and a sense of perhaps not really knowing where to start or what to end versus what to begin. There could be just a teensy bits of confusion around some of that, but it's a tension around not knowing where to start intentionally to help us focus. When you really start to sit down and look at what's next, truly there's only going to be one or two logical, immediate next steps. It all may feel like a giant cluster until you sit down and go, okay, I'm serious, I'm ready. What is step one? And step one is probably going to be something based on this new moon in Scorpio, honestly, that you may find confronting or challenging to do given Uranus's opposition to Mars and Scorpio. It may be something that you have repressed. It may be something that's uncomfortable as a truth or a next step, but I'm going to be honest, the truth has been in our face for a long time. So taking that step at this time is what's going to allow things that may have felt quite stuck to begin to move. I've had a lot of conversations in the last 2 weeks with clients who tell me, K Moon, I'm not clear. K Moon, I'm confused. K Moon, I don't know what to do. Or who have said to me, I don't know what I want. Can you tell me? Tell me what I'm supposed to do. Tell me my purpose. Tell me my next step. And then we get into conversation. I look at the chart and it becomes very clear rather quickly. You are not confused. You just don't like your answer. You know what you want. You just don't have the tools to execute. You need to find a teacher. Or you do know what to do. You just are uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable with who that's going to make uncomfortable in your world. And so, this is a thing about this new moon in Scorpio. There's a lot of uncomfortable truth surfacing at this time. And it's not even so much that it's surfacing, it's been there. It's just in a positioning right now where it's not ignorable anymore. We can't tap dance, tiptoe, kind of look at it behind, fingers and pretend it's not there. You know how 2-year-olds will cover their eyes when they're playing peekaboo with you? And when they cover their eyes, for them, they think that that means that they've disappeared. And when they uncover their eyes, they've reappeared. This is the moment in time where you kind of realize covering your eyes doesn't make it or the problem or you go away. It doesn't put you in another dimension. And so it's a bit of a like grow up kind of transit. It's a maturing kind of new moon. It's sobering in the way that it's grounding us about what must happen and what we have to face in order to proceed in our next step. And so it's beautiful in its invitation to be the man in the arena. I think there's a speech that Brene Brown references quite often. I think it's from an American president. Let me find it. Yeah, Roosevelt. Um, where he's talking about, anyone can kind of offer criticism, anyone can offer an opinion. People who are ready to do that are people who are on the sidelines. But in order to get something done in this world, like the courage, the brave, the boldness really rests with the man in the arena, the one who's actually doing something, who's taking a shot. Um, it's the person who's actually, yes, messy, yes, clumsy, yes, Bambi legs, who's actually trying anyway. This is the person whose thoughts and opinion counts. Here's the quote. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails, daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And so this kind of new moon in Scorpio, I understand that's not, gender inclusive language. So, apply it as it works for you. But the deal here is this kind of new moon and the transits we have had leading up to it has really invited us to stop playing small, to not pretend that we don't know our truth, to not pretend like we don't know what to do, and to stop counting ourselves out as someone who's not capable or not able, or as little beings in a big world that's pushing us around. That's not our truth. We are divine creator beings incarnate. The very stuff these stars are made of, the very thing, whether you take it from the Quran or the Bible or Old Testament, any of the Abrahamic faiths, any of the Eastern traditions, they all tell us the very thing that created us is within us. And so this is one of those moments where we get the opportunity to step up and own it and take control of impacting our lives in the direction of our heart's truest desires. And this is definitely true in our divine masculine energetic fields at this time. And so, my hat's off to all of you who are like really out here, like sweating and panting and grunting over a dream and trying and falling and trying again. My hat's off to you. And for those of you who are finally in a place of going, you're right, K-Moon, I do know what I need to do. I do know what I want. I am not confused. I just need to get off my duff and do it. Congratulations to you as well. There is major blessing coming for you in 2024. Now, if this has resonated for you, I invite you to get on the private list. I tend to share extra information with them after these lunar updates. So, link to join is below this video. It is absolutely free. I send a new and full moon kind of follow up. And in addition to that, you'll be the first to know about discounts and special pricing and things that I only make available just for them if you're on my private list. Okay, guys? That's what I got. It's a beautiful lunation. Definitely listen to the Lightworker energy update. It's got some added intel and context for this conversation, which really ought to be like a part 2 to that one that is part 1. And if you're going to join me in Star School, I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Take great care and bye for now.